Greetings, fellow adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome, curious minds, to our video that explores the ins and outs of Cayuse people. The Cayuse are a Native American tribe in what is now the state of Oregon in the United States. The Cayuse tribe shares a reservation and government in northeastern Oregon with the Umatilla and the Walla Walla tribes as part of the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. The reservation is located near Pendleton, Oregon, at the base of the Blue Mountains. The Cayuse called themselves the Liksiyu in the Cayuse language. Originally located in present-day northeastern Oregon and southeastern Washington, they lived adjacent to territory occupied by the Nez Perce and had close associations with them. Like the Plains tribes, the Cayuse placed a high premium on warfare and were skilled horsemen. They developed the Cayuse pony. The Cayuse ceded most of their traditional territory to the United States in 1855 by treaty and moved to the Umatilla Reservation, where they have formed a Confederated tribe. Turning our focus to history, let's explore its key elements. According to Horo Aoki 1998, the Cayuse called themselves Liksiyu in their language. Their name Cayuse was derived from the French word caillou, meaning stones or rocks, adopted by early French-Canadian trappers of the area. The name may have referred to the rocky area the tribe inhabited, or it may have been an imprecise rendering of the name they called themselves. The tribe has been closely associated with the neighboring Nez Perce and Walla Walla. The Cayuse language is an isolate, independent of the neighboring Sahaptin-speaking peoples. The Cayuse population was about 500 in the 18th century. The Cayuse were a semi-nomadic tribe and maintained summer and winter villages on the Snake, Tukanon, Walla Walla, and Tishet rivers in Washington, and along the Umatilla, Grand Ronde, Burnt, Power, John Day River, and from the Blue Mountains to the Deschutes River in Oregon. Historian Vern Ray has identified 76 traditional Cayuse village sites, most temporary, seasonal sites, 5 separate villages in the Walla Walla Valley and 7 Cayuse bands scattered throughout eastern Oregon and Washington. The Walla Walla River Cayuse band was called the Pachapu. Other sources name only 3 distinct regional bands within the Cayuse at the time, 2 centered on the Umatilla River, the 3rd on the Walla Walla River. The Cayuse were known for their bravery and as horsemen. They bred their ponies for speed and endurance, developing what is now called the Cayuse horse. No longer restricted to what they could carry or what their dogs could pull, they moved into new areas, traveling as far east as the Great Plains and as far south as California to hunt, trade, fight, and capture slaves. Meanwhile, their herds multiplied rapidly, a combination of skillful breeding and periodic raids on other tribes. By the early years, a Cayuse who owned only 15 to 20 horses was considered poor. Wealthy families controlled 2,000 or more. Horses improved the range and effectiveness of war parties, making it possible for Cayuses to dominate their sedentary neighbors on the Columbia. They claimed ownership of the Dalles, the great fishery and trade emporium of the Columbia, forcing the weaker bands in that area to pay them tribute in the form of salmon and other goods. They frequently were in conflict fighting with Pute, Shoshone, and Bannock tribes to the south and east referred to as the Snake People and other tribes such as the Blackfeet over territory and hunting sites. As white settlers moved into their territory in large numbers following the opening of the Oregon Trail in 1842, the Cayuse suffered. Even settlers passing through competed with them for game and water. Crowds of whites invaded the region during the California Gold Rush beginning in 1848 and when gold was discovered in eastern Oregon in 1862. The tribe gained wide notoriety in the early days of the white settlement of the territory. In 1838, Marcus Whitman and his wife Narcissa established a mission among the Cayuse at Waylipa Place of the Ryegrass, a site about 7 miles from the present-day city of Walla Walla and about a quarter-mile east of where the Cayuse winter village was located. In 1847, a measles epidemic, suspected by some to be contracted from white settlers, resulted in high fatalities among the tribe. A small group of Cayuse, after putting Whitman's medicine to the test with both sick and non-sick individuals, and which all test individuals died, believed the missionaries were deliberately poisoning their native people, since a much higher percentage of the natives were dying from the measles than were the whites. In addition, cultural differences and settler encroachment had caused growing tensions. The Cayuse attacked the missionaries, killing Whitman and his wife Narcissa, and 11 others. They captured 54 European American women and children and held them for ransom. They destroyed the mission buildings. This attack prompted an armed response by the United States, and the Cayuse War ensued. 5 Cayuse warriors were hanged. See Cayuse 5. The Cayuse put the captives to work together with their members. The adults made clothing for the tribe. They released the hostages after the Hudson's Bay Company brokered an exchange of 62 blankets, 63 cotton shirts, 12 Hudson Bay rifles, 600 loads of ammunition, 7 pounds of tobacco and 12 flints for the return of the now 49 surviving prisoners. The Cayuse and many from other nearby tribes such as the Walla Walla tribe were hunted down by militias and massacred. The Cayuse eventually lost the war. They were forced to cede their land to the U.S. and shared a reservation with the Umatilla and Walla Walla. By 1851, the Cayuse had long intermarried with the neighboring Nez Perce, with whom they had sheltered. Many learned their language. Kathleen Gordon, a tribal member of the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation, was a Cayuse Nez Perce language instructor who spoke and taught the Nez Perce language, but also knew small amounts of the original Cayuse language that is now extinct. In 1855, the Cayuse joined the Treaty of Walla Walla with the Umatilla and Walla Walla, by which the Umatilla Indian Reservation was formed. Since that time, they have officially resided within the reservation's limits. During the mid-20th century, some members moved to cities under the Indian Relocation Act of 1956, an effort to give better access for contemporary jobs. Their number was officially reported as 404 in 1904. This number may be misleading. A count in 1902 found 1 pure-blooded Cayuse on the reservation. Descendants with ancestry partially of the other tribes may still have identified as Cayuse. The Cayuse language is believed to have become extinct by then. As the members of the 3 tribes have intermarried, they no longer keep separate population numbers. In the following segment, we'll be examining lifestyle in greater detail. The Cayuse Indians were located in the Columbia Basin and were nomadic, sometimes moving on a daily basis. They lived in teepees, which many nomadic tribes used for portability. The Cayuse were skilled horsemen and used horses in hunting. They also used them for their trip over the Rocky Mountains each year to hunt a supply of buffalo to bring back for their families. The men hunted game and fished salmon. The women gathered and picked berries and dug and processed roots. The women also processed the animal skins to make materials for shelter and clothing. The men considered bravery to be an important quality, with brave warriors being held in high esteem. The strongest would be made chief. In this section, we'll be peeling back the layers of language to reveal its true essence. The Cayuse language is a language isolate. Scholars have proposed that it may be related to Moala, making up a Waialutchuan family ultimately related to the Penutian stock. This proposal is unproven. The language has been extinct since the Urs. Waialutpu is a dialect of the Nez Perce language as used by the Cayuse people of the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. A distinctive dialect of the Cayuse people has not been used since the Urs and is designated as extinct. Let's now turn our attention to cuisine and uncover the fascinating insights it brings to the table. One of the Cayuse's main food sources was salmon from the Columbia River. Along with trout and lamprey, they also hunted elk, deer, as well as small game such as rabbits and fowl. Most significantly, women gathered camas roots, bitter roots, basket roots, wild celery, huckleberries, and choke cherries, processing them for cooked and dried foods for their survival. They also gathered bark, leaves, flowers, and roots for making medicine. Let's transition to notable Cayuse and uncover its significance. Tuatoi, known as Young Chief, Head Chief, Uncle and predecessor of the next Young Chief Waitanithmini, was a well-known leader and warrior. Waitanithmini, also known as Young Chief, Head Chief, nephew of Tuatoi, became the new Young Chief in October 1853, leader of the more conciliatory faction of the Cayuse, killed in a skirmish with the Snake during the summer of 1859. Five Crows, also known as Achekea or Hezeki, brother and first successor of Tauta, and leader of the hostile Cayuse, principal rival to Tauta's son Young Chief Waitanithmini for the role of Head Chief. Share this video with your friends and spread the knowledge.